gathering today, you have some pitchers, especially at the top of your rotation, guys that maybe want to bounce back or get back to where they were.
Yeah.
How hungry is this group of guys?
You talk to them. My conversations with them have been, for me, it centers around pride. All professional players, or I think any professional in any field, they have pride in their work and their production. Like I mentioned, any field, and it's no different in professional sports. And I think as relates to a number of guys, even position players or pitchers, there's pride in performance, and I'm sensing that from a number of our players, and that's a good thing because guys want to play well. Pitchers want to pitch well, position players want to play well. So that's, in a simple answer, that's the sense that I get to that question.
I guess for specifics, I've talked quite a bit with Kyle about how he is evolving as a pitcher and
right.
how the last 2 years were not what he wanted.
Right.
But what have you seen with his evolution and maturity?
Over his career?
Yeah, and especially now that he's gotten lessons.
Well, I don't want to say Kyle has evolved into a different type of pitcher, but like you mentioned, I mean, pitchers make adjustments as they go on in their career. This will be Kyle's 8th season in the major leagues, and you make adjustments. You make some changes, but fundamentally Kyle is still at the core the same pitcher of style that made him a first round pick and made him a fourth place candidate in the Cy Young Award in 2018. It's a good live fastball, located. It's a good hard slider. But the adjustments that he's made over the last couple years, more changeup, curveball, some minor tweaks to grips and things that pitchers do. But for him and a lot of starting pitchers, it's located fastball, it's changing speeds, disrupting timing. That's still there, and he understands now. I think the mix of pitches is probably the biggest difference. I think that Kyle has learned that he has to get to.
Top of the rotation, 3 rotational stalwarts, if you will, with Freeland, Quantrill, and Gomber. After that, do you kind of see guys battling, really for that 4th and 5th spot, up for grabs?
Yes. There's no, I don't think there's a given after, we feel good about, those 3 guys you mentioned, but, Feltner, Dakota Hudson, Peter Lambert, Noah Davis, those guys who've made major league starts, in varying degrees of volume of their starts, are in that mix to start. They're all capable to start major league games and win us games. And we'll keep an eye on some younger guys just for depth purposes in spring training. And there's some guys, who aren't in big league camp that we're going to keep an eye on as well. But there's a couple guys in big league camp who are here. So, I think you're on track.
Is their performance going to be the be-all, end-all, or like with most things, will there be other factors?
There's other factors, sure. I mean, what we see, with our baseball eye. Just hard statistical spring training stats sometimes can be misleading, either positively or negatively. That's why you hear me talk often about the critical eye and truly what's happening on the field. We'll keep an eye on all that.
Dakota Hudson has been a guy who's pitched really well in this game, got into the playoffs or whatever. when you look at him, do you see him as a guy that could be kind of a mainstay in this rotation?
He can be. Yeah, I think that we're looking for starting pitchers who are capable of matching up with another starting pitcher and keeping us in the game. He has done that in the past with the Cardinals. You look at his winning percentage with the Cardinals. You can obviously pick out certain games where he was dominant. So he's done it. He's done it before. His challenge, I think, and he'll tell you if you haven't already spoken to him, I think is to get back to the form that he thinks makes him the most successful. Right? Good live fastball with sink. Pound the zone, both at the bottom and move the fastball to the top. Good secondary pitches located. Really not a lot of secrets. So, but he's looking to regain and recapture some of the things that made him successful.
Yeah, Quantrill was telling me that he's been pretty impressed with the group that is here, how
Right.
hungry, how hard these guys work. I mean, that's got to be refreshing for a guy that's been in the playoffs a couple of times.
Yeah.
Coming here and understanding what's going on.
Yeah, couple organizations that have pitched well over the years in Cleveland and in San Diego. He's got a good pedigree, right? His father was a major league pitcher, went to a very good college program. He's sharp. He's got a good perspective. So to hear him say that, you feel good about a new guy coming in and seeing what he's surrounded with, on the pitching side, and he's been here in camp, for a few weeks, and he's got to know a lot of the position players and the pitchers. So, for him to speak highly of what's going on here and the character of the guys and in that vein is should make us feel good.
Last year going into camp, 3 veteran relievers were brought in: Pierce Johnson, Suter,
Right.
right hand. This offseason, only Beeks, but you
Right.
gained Tyler Kinley back. Now with the loss of Daniel Bard, do you think there might be a need to bring in another veteran reliever?
We brought in John Curtis. John Curtis is here as well.
Minor deal?
Minor league deal, but it's still here. And we brought in other guys on minor league deals who are veteran pitchers. So even though they might not be on the 40-man roster, they're in major league camp for a reason, right? You can only have 40 guys. You can't have 48 guys on the 40-man roster, right? But you can bring in major league, what we feel potential quality pitchers. I think what offsets it a little bit, Patrick, is the experience that some of the younger guys got. Vodnik, Hollowell, Mears, amongst others. We feel we'll get Gilbreth back at some point, and he'll add to that mix. Even though Gilly might not have a bunch of service time, I think who he is as a person, and there's a little bit more experience there than meets the eye with Lucas. But to your point, Beeks adds some veteran stability. Those 3 guys that you mentioned last year, Pierce, Brad, and Suter, were able to mentor a lot of the younger players. That they'll be better off for it. So, but I think the younger group of pitchers are in a position to be more impactful this year after what we went through last year injury wise that necessitated so many pitchers coming to the big leagues. And as rough as it was going through that, there are some benefits of youth being served.
Gilbreth, is he on a little bit slower scale?
Just a little bit, yeah. I think that our training staff and our doctors, there's a pretty set in place protocol for Tommy John comebacks, and I think all teams sort of follow what has been done in the past. and it makes sense. So he's just on a little bit slower program, but he's not that far behind.
Do you think opening day, or do you?
Probably unlikely.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I was talking to Justin, and he said that the rough stretch he went through last year helped make him a better pitcher.
Right.
And
Sure.
he's ready to go now.
Yeah.
What have you seen from him?
Well, yeah, I think every pitcher learns from experience. There's always something to be gained from, getting knocked down and getting back up. You hear that all the time from coaches. It's how you respond. There was a stretch in there where there's a little bit of a struggle, but he bounced back. And I thought he overall, if you look at the big numbers, they were solid, right? I think there's room for improvement there with Justin. There's constant adjustments that he will make, minor albeit. He doesn't need to do a lot differently. Just sort of fine tune some things. But he's in a good spot, and he's been at this now for a couple of years of a lot of major league exposure. I think he's really, really ready to settle in to be a really dependable late inning reliever.
Understand Bard, the surgery is not
Yeah.
as extensive.
Like we talked about the other day, I think that was the feeling going in. You never really know, but the medical team was pretty confident that it was going to be what it was, which is a little cleanup. Take care of the meniscus and the joint area, and he'll be back. This is I don't want to say a common procedure, but it's done often with this type of little aggravating knee issue, and he's the knee's ultimately going to be fine.
So
with
they
it.
didn't have to repair the meniscus.
They didn't have to. From what I was told and understood, that this was a cleanup, and it was a pretty straightforward scope.
Good.
Okay,
Thank you.
cool,
Thanks, buddy.
good.